phone to see if we're there. It's my first ever live webinar, so there's going to be glitches, there's going to be mistakes, there's going to be times when I'm looking the wrong way or doing the wrong thing, and that's just how it's going to be. So I'm asking everyone to be patient with me, and I'm going to try to go through some stuff here that I've learned. What we did is we got together and we looked at stuff that Dr. Fauci from the health department, the National Health Department, recommended that we look at for COVID considerations. So let's have some fun. All right, so welcome to my first ever live webinar. First time I've ever done anything like this. So like I said, please bear with me as we try to go through this. But I want to talk about COVID-19, and these are just all things for you to consider. This is not, this should not be taken as this is what I'm supposed to do, this and that. This are things for you to look at, consider. I'm going to try to share research with you. I've uploaded this. So hopefully I can show you the research where we get it from and why I'm saying the things I'm saying. And I just hope everybody can hear me. I hope that part's working. So here we go. So let's talk about the cytokine storm. What's the cytokine storm? Well, the thing about COVID-19 that's dangerous is the cytokine storm. What the cytokine storm is, it's the fact that you have an immune system and your immune system's job is to protect your body. And the problem we run into with COVID is that when our immune system kicks in, it just keeps going. So what happens is the infection comes inside, it's in your body, the body sees it, it wraps it up with inflammation, protects it from spreading, and then treats it and gets rid of it and moves on. That's how it's supposed to happen. What we're finding out with COVID-19 is that it's finding it, it's wrapping it up. Now, imagine it wrapping it up with chicken wire. So normally just wrap it up with a little bit of chicken wire, put it aside where it's nice and safe. Well, with COVID-19, we're getting a cytokine storm, meaning that we're so hyper-inflammatory, it's wrapping it up with a giant wall around it, and it's taking up so much space because of all the inflammation of how aggressive our body is attacking it. Because a lot of Americans are hyper-inflammatory. So as it takes up all this room, it clogs up the cells in your nose, which is why we lose sense of smell. It clogs up the ones in your mouth, which is why we lose our taste. And the most dangerous, and the part about COVID that's the scariest, is it also clogs up our lungs. So as it fills up our lung space, we have problems breathing. That's why we end up on respirators. So the first thing I want to talk about is some of the things that we can do to kind of keep the cytokine storm in check. That'd be really important, right? So if you were to catch COVID, what can I do to keep this reaction as a minimum? And I also want to talk about things that make us hyperinflammatory. So let's dive in here. And then as a side note, these are, again, just for your consideration. I don't sell these products. I'm not getting a cut on any of this. I'm just simply sharing information. When I get to study with some of my favorite teachers, I like to share the information. I usually do a workshop in the clinic. Can't do a workshop in the clinic because of COVID. So we're making it up with this, like everybody else, we adapt. So first thing, vitamin C, vitamin E, these are things that aggressively attack the cytokine storm. And I want to briefly touch on vitamin C. I'm going to just give it some things that aren't true about vitamin C. We don't store vitamin C. We got to keep eating vitamin C all day long. You got to have your vegetables. Now, we're really, really good at making it. That's the good news. So as long as you're eating vegetables every meal, you should be getting your vitamin C. Now, I didn't say fruit on purpose because a lot of people are under the assumption that they're drinking a big glass of orange juice will give me my vitamin C. And there's vitamin C in there, but the amount of sugar in orange juice is so high, you don't really get the vitamin C from the orange juice. So if you're going to do vitamin C, find a source without those sugars, without that fructose. And so I really, really recommend the vegetables at every meal. Your broccoli, your cauliflower, they got vitamin C in them. So just hit those up and get your vitamin C from there. The other big thing that helps the cytokine storm keep in check, and is also a really good detoxer for the whole system, is glutathione. And most people have never heard of glutathione, and that's okay. There are supplements of glutathione you can take. But the way I like to do glutathione is you have it in your body, and the one in your body is probably the best one for you. But you have to wake it up. You have to like shake it and stir it up and get it working. And that's what Undernatured Whey protein does. Now, many of you heard me talk about Undernatured Whey protein in the past. I've always been a big fan of this. And what it is you go to a health food store. I've got mine at Choices before. And you buy the whey protein and you put it in a shaker bottle. You got to shake it up. You can't put it in a blender. If you put it in a blender, you actually ruin the whey proteins. The potency of it, you don't get the right thing. So you put in a shaker bottle, one of those bottles with a big coil in there, and you just shake it up, shake it up. I use coconut milk for mine, but you use what tastes good to you. And then I drink one of those a day, and that wakes up your glutathione in your body, gets it going. There's two types of whey protein though. There's the health food whey protein, which we should all do, and then there's also the whey protein that the 14-year-old boys take. And you'll be able to tell a difference right away, because the usually the healthy one, the one that we all want to take, has like a picture of like a garden on the front, or like a field, the nature scene. The other one has a picture of a man with his shirt off, all big and bulky like that. You don't need that one. That's for the 14-year-old boys to bulk up. So you want to make sure you get the Undernatured whey protein in order to help yourself out. So that's what we do to keep the cytokine storm in check. Another good thing, let's talk a little bit about the hyperinflammatory reaction. Why are we also hyperinflammatory? Well, I'm going to fall back on fish oil right now. I'm a huge component. If you're only going to do one thing only, do fish oil. One of my favorite authors talks about everything. He has the belief in everything. I'm going to show you the book right here, one of his books. He's got many books. Let's show this here. There we go. This is one of my, this is Michael Pollan in The Defense of Food and Omnivore's Dilemma. He talks a lot about the idea that we're all hyperinflammatory because we all eat way too much omega-6s. Now, omega-6s are found in your corn products and your grains, and they tend to raise your, it can make you hyperinflammatory. Omega-3s are the ones that we hear so much about, fish oil, flaxseed oil, and stuff like that. And the common analogy I use on this is when you're supposed to be 2-to-1 omega-3s to omega-6s. And I promise I won't get too complicated tonight. But when you have an omega-6 dominant hyperinflammatory system, what happens is, the way I describe it is, I'm over here by Cherryville Mall, and if I wanted to jaywalk across Perryville, if I was to jaywalk across Perryville and my omega-6s are super levels are off the charts, what's going to happen is my inflammation reaction is going to be way overboard. So imagine if I'm jaywalking and Green Berets, Navy SEALs, and snipers, and everybody shows up and tells me to stop jaywalking. Do I stop jaywalking? Does the inflammation do its job? Absolutely. I would never challenge that. Is that the appropriate response? Absolutely not. That's way too much. It's way overkill. And then what happens is you have all these guys looking for a fight. You have to come in for a battle, and you get all this other side effects of having that huge inflammation reaction. One omega-3 would just be a simple Cherry Valley police officer says, hey, don't jaywalk. And would that work? Absolutely. That would be the appropriate response. So I do recommend taking your fish oil. I'm a huge fan of fish oil, always have been. I don't read the books. I have some research here too. Let me see. It's a little hard to see which one these are. No, this is the other topic. I'll come back to this. So again, I promise you glitches. This is one of those glitches. I'm not sure which one's which here. And that's another topic we're coming back to. So it's got to be the last one, right? I should have guessed the first time. But there's a little bit of research. I don't just read the books. I actually go to PubMed, find the research articles. And we find that if you're out of balance with omega-3 versus omega-6s. So what's my thought on fish oil? You should take fish oil now. You should be taking fish oil regularly, and start getting those levels up now before you catch COVID, because you don't want to be hyperinflammatory when you catch it. And by having the right levels of omega-3s and omega-6s in your body, you stay the appropriate reaction. So there's some articles. I got lots more too if you want them. So step one, let's not be hyperinflammatory. Let's get our fish oil levels up way high. So again, inflammation, cytokine storm. Infection shows up, inflammation wraps it up. We got to keep this inflammation in check. We can't let it get too big. Let's talk about the other one now that everyone talks about. You know where I'm going with this. This is our good friend vitamin D. So vitamin D is kind of your warriors, okay? And so why is this thing getting worse now that's getting cold out? Well, one theory is that we're inside now. We're all breathing the same air. We're sharing stuff, and we're not getting outside as much as we were doing before, where if we were all outside, it wouldn't bother us. But the other thing that's outside is the sun, right? And the sun gives off UVA rays and UVB rays. Let me get this real clear. UVA rays will hit your skin, and they'll give you a nice tan and skin cancer. UVBs will give you a nice red burn and vitamin D. So there are tanning beds out there that are UVA and UVB. UVA is the most common because most people don't go to the tanning bed to catch a sunburn. They go to the tanning bed to get a nice tan. So it's getting cold out. We're not going outside anymore, and our vitamin D levels are dropping. This is why we see a rise in the flu in the wintertime too, because we see the vitamin D levels plummet. So you want to supplement vitamin D. You want to get that going. The rule I was always taught is you're supposed to spend, hear this word carefully, the equivalent of a half an hour a day outside in your swimsuit. If you're not doing that, then you should be supplementing vitamin D. So in the summertime, I don't really bother with vitamin D, but in the wintertime, I take vitamin D every day. I take about 2,000 units, and I'll tell you why I take 2,000 versus 5,000 versus 10,000 here in a second. But I take about 2,000 units a day. So with that being said, why do I only take 2,000 units? Since you've heard 5,000 other people for 10,000. Well, what happens is, in order to absorb vitamin D, because we're meant to get it through our skin, not through our mouth, you have to take it with a healthy fat. So some people show me their vitamin D pills, and they're like a powder, like a white pill, but you need a gel cap or you need a dropper. I have had one before that's a dropper. You put it on your tongue because there's oil in there, and that oil is a healthy fat. And you need the healthy fat in order to absorb the vitamin D. The more healthy fats you take at the same time, the more vitamin D you get good at absorbing. So my vitamin D and my fish oil are taken at the same time because fish oil is another healthy fat. And one of my drinks of choice here is iced cold brew coffee with heavy whipping cream. And the heavy whipping cream is a really, really good healthy fat. So I'll take that all together. And so I'm only doing 2,000 because I'm taking it with so many other healthy fats. I'm probably doing a really good job of absorbing my 2,000 units. And I do it every day. So by doing it every day, my levels don't go down. So vitamin D we store up. I should fall back on vitamin C. We don't store vitamin C, so you got to do it every meal. But vitamin D we store up. So you want to do vitamin D as much as you can, 2,000 units. If you're telling me that you got to take a multivitamin that's got vitamin D in there, I don't think, I mean, I think it technically does, but I don't think you're absorbing any of it. And let's talk real quick too. I had a patient today, we talking about this too. They were under the impression that by drinking their milk with vitamin D, they're good. Well, if you've heard me talk before, I always say vitamin D3. I always say not R2D2, but D3. D1 and D2 are kind of like cheap versions of vitamin D. You can get those real easy in dairy products, but it's not the same vitamin D. I actually wish they had different names. Vitamin D3 is the one you want to take for this. This is the one that we want to focus on. So if you're not doing your vitamin D3, step up, have those warriors ready to fight. So again, we're going to kind of recapping start to finish here. We're going to take fish oil and vitamin D now. We're going to prepare our bodies for COVID coming to get us. We're going to make sure that we keep adding vitamin C and vitamin E, things like that. I do a whey protein drink about 3-4 times a week to raise my own glutathione in order to check that cytokine storm. The cytokine storm, again, is the hyperinflammatory reaction that we have. Let's talk too about a good multivitamin. I have a good multivitamin I take every day. That multivitamin should have magnesium and zinc in it. Now, I don't take like extra zinc. I know some people are going out buying tons of extra zinc. I'm just making sure I get a really good vitamin with zinc in it. And that's where I get my zinc from. Now, magnesium. Okay, so magnesium is a good one to have in your system as well. But the thing with magnesium is you got to watch it. Too much magnesium will definitely add water to your colon or your bowels, and you'll definitely know that you had too much magnesium. And you'll suffer different fates if you have too much magnesium. So some people really want to go out and buy it all up. I know I've seen like all the zinc and magnesium sold out in stores. So my daily vitamin has magnesium in it. And I do have an extra magnesium in case I don't feel good. I can take an extra 1 or 2, but be very, very careful how much magnesium you take. Otherwise, you'll spend most of the day in the bathroom. If you don't want to measure it out, you don't want to think about it. I've always been a huge fan of Epsom salt baths. 2 cups of Epsom salt in the bathtub, climb in the bathtub. There's Epsom, sit in the bathtub for at least 20 minutes. You'll detox, and there's magnesium in the Epsom salt, and your skin will absorb what it needs. So taking an Epsom salt bath once a week, I've told my patients all along, great idea, even more so now. So 2 cups of Epsom salt in the bathtub. Stay in the tub for at least 20 minutes. If you stay in the tub for 40 minutes, it'll be better. But stay in the tub for at least 20 minutes. There's magnesium in that Epsom salt. It'll get through to your skin and you'll absorb it that way. And it's kind of hard to mess that one up, right? So before we catch COVID, fish oil, vitamin D, good multivitamin. Have vitamin C every meal, have vitamin E around, and again, the whey protein. Let's go to the next step. I like to go back and start over and count each one. So you have to humor me on that. The next step we're going to talk about is sleep. And we're talking about melatonin. Probably none of you heard a lot about melatonin before when it comes to COVID-19, but melatonin does play a role in this. Melatonin helps your body heal and repair itself at night. It has a direct levels with your serotonin levels. And you want to make as much melatonin as you can. Now, some of you have had melatonin in your house already. Some of you are probably using it to help you sleep at night. I'm going to ask you to quit that. I'm going to ask you that's a bad idea. A lot of the research has showed us, and again, let me show you here where I learned this from. It's a really cool book. It's called Why We Sleep, 2017 copy here by Dr. Walker. It talks a lot bit about why we sleep. It talks the idea that melatonin helps our body heal, repair itself at night so we can get better and heal. If you take melatonin yourself, you'll stop making it because the body will say, well, why am I doing all this work to make melatonin if it's already there? And it'll stop producing it. And your melatonin levels, your self-producing melatonin levels will go down and you almost get addicted to the melatonin in order to sleep. And that's a bad thing. But the worst thing is there's been direct studies that prove that women who take melatonin and don't produce their own melatonin, they produce low levels of melatonin, have an extremely high rate of breast cancer. Women who make a lot of melatonin have an extremely low rate of breast cancer. So I'm not a big fan of taking melatonin as a daily thing to sleep every night. There's been too many studies that show it's not good and it has bad effects. Studies, right? I promise you studies. So let me. Whoop. All right, I promise you mistakes. And there's another mistake. I have more studies here. I just can't. There we go. I can't seem to find them. But we have studies on. There we go. I pulled them up earlier. That's why. So what's this one here? This is the fish oil. Of course, the one I tried to find first last time is the first one this time. And there's the vitamin D study. So, hey, let me jump back to vitamin D. These are some really cool studies showing the effects of vitamin D on COVID. A lot of people are going to the doctor now with COVID, and the doctor's telling them to pump up their vitamin D. So here's some of the studies. I'm sorry I skipped them before. I'll share them to you real quick, and I'll put them back up again later. But let's go to the ones I just promised you. And there you go, the lymphatic system. So this is the system that kicks in and helps your body heal at night. So what you want to do is you want to have some melatonin if you get sick. Now, I said don't take it normally, but if you get sick, you want to take melatonin because your body can't keep up on the demands when you're sick. So if you catch the virus, have some melatonin, take some melatonin at night, help your body heal itself. And melatonin will also help with the inflammation that's creating that cytokine storm. So you want to make sure you take some melatonin if you catch the virus to help your body heal. But again, I'm not a fan from what I've read and the research I've seen. I'm taking it every night to help you sleep as a sleep aid. I know a lot of people even tell me they're giving it to their kids and their young daughters. And I'm going to read the stuff yourself. That's why I'm sharing the information with you. I'm not a melatonin expert. I'm a chiropractic expert, but I'm just sharing the stuff that I read with you again for your consideration. So check out that book, Why We Sleep. I thought that was pretty cool. I know I know I'm talking fast. I'm limited on battery. I don't have a way to charge my computer here, so I don't want to talk too long and have the battery die. But those are some of the things we do. So we talked about glutathione, the whey protein, the do's and don'ts. Don't put in a blender. Don't shake it up. So let me do my recap one more time. Fish oil. Take fish oil now. Now, some of you might tell me that you can't do fish oil. You don't like fish oil, or fish oil is gross. I burp it up all day. And I would tell you that's because you're not getting good quality fish oil. I can go down the Rock River right now and grab a dead carp, put in a blender, call it fish oil. There's nothing that's stopping me from doing that. Obviously, you don't want to do that. Go spend the good quality money on fish oil. There are a couple products that have omega-3s and omega-6s in them. We don't want omega-6s. We're trying to change that ratio. So don't take one with omega-6s and only take it with omega-3s. Somebody will ask me about cod liver oil. That's fine. Somebody will ask me about krill oil. That's okay. I'm not a fan of krill oil because I want the whales to eat. So there's environmental reasons why krill oil is not the best, but if you had it in your house, is it good for you? Yeah. Can you take it? Yeah. Other people say, hey, doc, what about taking flaxseed instead of fish oil? Well, there's a problem. So here's the problem. EPA and DHA are two of the essential amino acids that we need out of our fish oil. And we got to make sure that we're getting those from our fish oil. And flaxseed doesn't have that. But if you're allergic to shellfish, if you're allergic to different things like that, and you can't do fish oil, is doing flaxseed oil the second best choice? Absolutely. And let's talk about the kids. I'm going to go through this time and talk more about the kids. The kids will not, if you get them to take fish oil, we go up to Choices, get chewable ones. We've also been to Whole Foods up in Schaumburg and got them. The adult EPA should be twice as much as the DHA. Again, I'll say it again. The EPA should be twice as high as the DHA. And the kids, it should flip-flop. The DHA should be twice as high as the EPA. Now, What does that mean? The way I remember it is EPA, established nervous systems, DHA, developing nervous systems. So the kids are developing, so make sure they have more. The adults are established, make sure they get what they need. And if you're giving the adult ones to the kids, is that the worst thing? No, the worst thing is not giving them anything, okay? So get your fish oil going. Next, we talked about vitamin D. Now, little kids, they need vitamin D also. So what's a good way to get little kids vitamin D? And other people told me they're taking vitamin D and they've had horrible reactions to it. Well, here's one of my health hacks. All right. I talked about UVA rays before and UVB rays. If you go to the pet store and you buy a light bulb for your reptiles, that gives off UVB rays. And so it's really easy to go buy a bunch of pet store lights and put them in different places and maybe spend some time every day underneath those lamps and, maybe show some skin, right? Because we need to get through our skin and get some UVB that way and make some vitamin D that way. Now, taking it is obviously a lot more higher dose, okay? But if you can't take it, doing the light bulbs is going to be the runner-up again, right? It's not as good, but the light bulbs definitely would help. I know, like our kids, we have a playroom down in the basement. It's easy to take some of those can lights and swap out the light bulbs, put the UVB ones in there in the wintertime. The kids are down there playing. I've actually, as you know, I'm the ice hog chiropractor. I've also told the ice hogs they should change their fluorescent lights in the locker room to all UVB ray lights. Now, these are the same ones you see for seasonal depression. So if you have one of those sad lights, the seasonal depression lights, it's the same thing. I just tell people to go to the pet store because the pet store lights are the same ones as the medical lights, but they're a quarter of the price. So go to the pet store, buy some of those lights, get some vitamin D going that way. And we all have that one stubborn relative that just, no matter what you tell them to do, I don't need to take anything. When they're not home, switch some of the light bulbs out. Make them get vitamin D and make them not worry about it. Make sure there's no light shade, though, to interfere with the vitamin D transmission. Good multivitamin, the kids have those too. Make sure there's not too much sugar in them, like I said. I try to get a Whole Foods one. Don't Flintstone chewables, or if the kids like them too much, the odds are there's probably stuff in there that's not quite the vitamin you want it to be. And then I also don't like copper in my vitamins. I try to avoid copper at all costs. So you might want to think about that. That's a dementia Alzheimer's talk for a different day. Melatonin, go buy some melatonin, keep it, don't take it. If you get sick, have it. Have the whey protein. If you get sick, make sure you make up the shaker bottles, make some whey protein. Raw cocoa isn't so bad. You can put some raw cocoa in there if you need the kids to drink one. I do 2 big scoops of whey protein in the shaker bottle, shake it up and drink that, like I said, a couple times a week for detox purposes. But if I had COVID-19 positive, I'd be doing it every day until I feel better. Vitamin C, that's easy. Like I said, vegetables. So there we are. And by the way, people have asked me about this, and the research shows it's true. People with type O blood do better with COVID-19. I can't find the research why. I can just see the numbers that it's true. So I don't know if you have type O. The last thing I want to do is, I always tell people, my grandpa always said that we can all be good Catholics, but we can't all be the Pope. But we have a couple of people watching right now that want to be the Pope. They want to take it to the next level. And one great way to keep your body working functional, great for this COVID-19, is right here. I'm trying to do this myself. Keto fasting by Dr. McCullough. Fasting. You can't fix a road if you keep driving on it, right? You can't fix the potholes in the road if you keep driving on it. So we have to stop driving on the road in order to fix it. So great way to do this is, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of it. Stop eating 4 hours before you go to bed. So if you go to bed at 10 o'clock, you're done with dinner at 6. Don't eat again till lunch the next day. Go as long as you can without eating. I know we were raised that breakfast is the most important meal. Look at the breakfast food. It's all what I like to call crappy carbs. So maybe it's not the best. Now, black coffee, no caloric intake in there. That's fine. Water, no caloric intake. It's fine. Even my heavy whipping cream with the cold brewed iced coffee in there, it's still okay. You just want to make sure that you go that long. That lets the body shut down and heal. And as I said before, there was research on that, and it'll be the last one I click on. That's just the way life works. That's not it. And that's the fish oil one. And I don't know. It's here somewhere. I'll put them all up at the end, have the whole screen filled with stuff. But so take a look at that stuff. Another great book, another great author, Gundry, another person I read a lot of his stuff. So if you're looking for good things to read and learn more about, there it is. So I promised us to go on for half an hour. We've been going for 25 minutes. Everything's still working as far as I know. No one's texted me or called me and told me it's not working, so I hope it's working. If you're on Facebook right now watching and you got a question, you can type in a comment, and in theory, it shows up right here on my screen, and I can answer that comment for you. If you're on YouTube watching, you'll have to wait till you find me next time. So again, I'm just trying to, and I'm going to write up a recap of tonight. I'm going to write up my little thing, and I'll post it below here in the comments on YouTube and Facebook. So I don't know where you're watching, but it'll be there. So I hope I answered some questions. I hope I didn't create more questions. And again, these are just things to consider. I'm just sharing the research I've learned. I am not a supplement expert. I'm not a nutrition expert. I'm a chiropractic expert. But I'm sharing the research that I've done. I am kind of a research nerd. So I kind of do that. Thank you, my good friend there, for letting me know that it's working. And so if anybody has any questions or anything else like that, otherwise I'm going to call it a night here and go home and see the family. Thanks for watching. If anybody has a topic they'd like to see, oh, here we go. All right. Any good recommendations for a good multivitamin fish oil? Thanks for the question. Yeah, I head over to Choices to get mine. I try to get a whole food one with natural stuff in the vitamin. And I like the Norwegian fish oil. That's a really good one. But they do have a bad product. It's omega-3 and omega-6s. It's a white bottle. You'll see it. If you're in the neighborhood, stop in. I have an empty bottle of it here. But they do have one that's omega-3 and omega-6s, which I don't think they should be selling. I wrote the company many emails. They don't answer me, probably because of my tone. So just make sure you get a good one with the omega-3s. And also on my website, if you go to rockforddc.com, you'll see it across the bottom here. There is a link which says wellness notes. I do these talks at I used to do these talks at different places. You'll see a supplement list. And on that supplement list, it'll break it down really, really good. Another question here. I have not heard that whether I hate it when I do a webinar and somebody answers the question, you'll know what the question is. So I'm putting the question at the bottom so you can see it. Is there a certain amount of vitamin D for your weight? I have not heard that. I have never read that or learned that. Nothing I've ever come across. So I can't say yes or no, but I can definitely tell you I've never heard that's a factor. So I hope that's a fair answer. Yeah. So that's kind of what I know. Again, one last time. Prepare your body right now. We should all be doing a good multivitamin. We should all be doing fish oil. We should all be doing our vitamin D. Get the warriors ready. We should do a vitamin C. We shouldn't do a vitamin C. We should eat your vegetables. All right. Your mother told you that when you were a kid. She's right. Lastly, if you catch COVID, the cytokine storm kicks in. You got to keep it in check. More vitamin C, more vegetables, make even more than normal. Melatonin. Take melatonin at night before you go to bed, and make sure you're doing those whey protein shakes. Shake them up like that. Get those good whey in there. Other than that, thank you. Feel free to share this. And again, like I said before, these are just what I learned reading, and I'm just sharing information. Don't call the county health department and tell them I told you all what to do. I get along with Dr. Martell, and I want to keep it that way. But anything like that I can help you with, any questions you have, reach out to us, send us a message, send us a chat. We're on every platform you can think of: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I don't even know, Tumblr, all of them. Reach out to us. We're here to help you. We're here to answer questions for you. We're just trying to get everybody through this this fun pandemic we're dealing with. And we'll see you all real soon.